Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How are you guys? Dan, welcome. I was looking forward to this session. Finally, you are here. How are you today?
Doing fine, doing fine. Same here. I was so looking forward to speak to you and the folks that are online.
Perfect. So, look, once again, thank you for accepting my invite. And I know you are a very busy man and taking your time out from your busy schedule to prepare, make ready, mentally ready, physically ready, emotionally ready for this session. Perfect. All right. And I like to appreciate the people joining today. And you have been coming again. I know you're getting some value. And from my superstars and all the people coming here, all they are superstars. Of course, they have gone through, they have learned a lot from the life, and they are coming back and sharing back with you guys. So hopefully, whatever Dan is going to share, whatever they have shared, other people have shared in the past webinars, which are recorded, available on YouTube. They may give you something and may change your life little bit, maybe sometime little bit. So, thank you once again, all of you. So just to introduce Dan coming from Ottawa, from Canada, and he's working, and he's a superstar. Actually, his company called 7-Star Limited, and he has done many big projects for Canadian government or and other organizations. He specialized in change management, business analysis, and SDLC. And he has, currently, I think you're working on the Canadian government cybersecurity mega work. So over to you. Anything you'd like to say?
No, apart from with Dharam, I got introduced in January of this year. We have worked for approximately 2.5 months, I would say, for the PgMP certification, and we were, part of the reasons that I'm certified is because of Dharam,
Yeah, and you got your certification on 7th of March 2024.
That's it. Just before they changed the exam to the new standard and all that, so it was exciting times,
Yeah, perfect. So look, Dan, it was, I know that was a journey you had to go through, and you learn a lot, and you pass exam. Anything you'd like to share from your PgMP journey with the colleagues on the line?
Yeah, well, I have it was the journey indeed, and I wrote a quick LinkedIn article. If you're interested, you can go and check it out. It explains from the beginning till the point that I met Dharam and we started using his methodology. It's it was learning indeed. I did not expect. I thought that's I used to call it PMP on steroids, and it is a little bit, but it's the same type of exam, right? But it turned out that I was wrong. It was completely different. It was certainly, it had its own challenging points and all of that. But stand assured, every problem has a solution out there, right? It's just a matter of us finding it and getting help when we need it,
Exactly. Dan, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think you did try this exam earlier.
Yes, that's it. The second, I got the PgMP from the second attempt. Yeah.
And what was the difference between the first attempt and second attempt?
Well, the first attempt is that I was, I was walking the path by myself. Okay, so essentially, when you're walking the path by yourself, you make trial and error essentially, right? And for the most of it, to be honest with you, like I didn't do that much wrong, but just on a few turns, I turned left instead of right. That's my analysis. Again, like I have no idea how the machine works and all that, right? But it really helps in just a certain touch points to get the guidance from people like Dharam that you're not the first one, you're not the second one, and they know which way you need to turn. But it's a lot more challenging. PMP, you guys know, it has. I'm assuming most of you have the PMP already, in your portfolio and all that. But it's, for the most of it, you can do a pretty good job by yourself and that kind of stuff. Once you go, it was almost like the PMP. I felt that it was more like a highway. But the other exams that have like just a few thousand people on them, it's more like the off-road. And in the off-road, you need totally new vehicle, totally new, like different equipment. You need different maps. It's not like for the most of it, a well-paved path that it's available to everybody. So that was my big lesson learned. There are some others. Again, like I have it, most of it in my article. If you guys are interested, you can just Google me and add me on LinkedIn, or like go check out the article. And again, I wanted to highlight as well that this is my path. This is the way I walked it. This is the way, like, everybody have a very subjective and their own experiences and way of thinking and way of going forward and all that. So for some people, they might have a different experience. They might have a different path that they're following. I just share mine, and feel free to agree or disagree, and that's part of the discussion, right, Dharam?
Yeah, look, Dan, it's nothing wrong in this, because this is one exam where a lot of people have struggled. And if you have failed or somebody else has failed, don't take any negativity out of this. It's just tell you, okay, something was missing. What else we can do to navigate through this path? So and you did it very well in next 2.5 months, and you passed the exam with flying color. I mean, I don't remember exactly your report, but it was about target. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
About target, and it was a great result. I was very happy to see that result. Personally, everybody come to me. I feel that I have to contribute to make sure you get the best out of me, and you go to the exam and pass the exam with flying colors.
I agree with those statements. Yeah.
And with the 502 PgMPs, and now as of today morning, I got 141 PfMPs, one person from Europe, one part of the Europe. I don't remember his country. Peter has also passed his PfMP exam. So look, these exams are on the, we can say, as you said, PMP on steroids. You really need to put your thoughts together, visualize content, and you need to see that you're really working on a larger size program. When you see that way, things become easier, and you understand the material, and then you do lots of mock exams. So recently, I have released a set of 5 question bank with very nice 170 question each. I'm very proud of those questions. So if anybody looking preparation, of course you do the class or whatever learning, and do the question after question, and until you start reaching 70-75%. I mean, once you start reaching that point, that gives you indication. Okay, now I should start booking the exam. Anyway, all this aside, today's topic is very interesting: good governance and decision making. Okay, so I have some questions for you. I will be asking questions. I have a question from the audience previously given, and there will be some questions, I'm hoping, and more questions, guys, you can ask. We can get more out of Dan. So let's try our best to get maximum knowledge out of Dan. So nothing, I think more you share, actually, like to your point, if you share more, you will gain more. And if we ask more, we'll gain more. There you go. Win, win, win. Okay, great. And also, if you're watching this video at a later time, please reach out to me once you watch. I watched this video, and this was the topic. I like to know if you learned something or not. Just for the sake, but I will give you one video at the time. Okay. All right. Anything else you'd like to say before we get into the questions? Anything else? No?
I'm good to go.
Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you. Once again, thank you all to join, and thank you, Dan, for coming along and going to share your knowledge. All right. My first question to you is around the good governance. In a contractual world, how do project program managers make decisions in organization's best interest? What challenges they face?
Yeah, that's my favorite question, to be honest with you, because one thing about me is that I was a full-time employee up to 2016, and 8 years ago I moved as an independent consultant. Okay, so independent consultant means that whenever private, public, or a crown is a like an NGO type of organization in Canada, they are looking for a project manager to complete a project, to lead a project, or a program manager for that case. They hire my services, and the good thing about it is that when they are done, I don't, like, they say, thank you so much, the project is done, and I move on to another project. So being a consultant gives me a unique perspective. Well, first of all, I am not part of the mothership. I'm adjacent to it. I get the work done and I move on. Also, I tend to see lots of different organizations, lots of different managers, lots of different departments. So just to tell you, for the past 8 years, the average duration of my contracts is between 1 and 1.5 years. So especially with cloud, I do mostly cloud implementations and some data center migrations and all of that. But for the most of it, I'm IT project manager. So keep in mind that the things that I'm saying are mostly within the IT field. Okay. So with that being said, governance can be looked from different lenses. I have my own lens as a consultant. Another person will have different lenses as a PMO manager or some other role as well, some organizational role. And PMI, by the way, they have their own lens as well. Okay, so what I wanted to say is that me as a consultant, I almost operate at zero authority. Okay, because I'm hired to be part of not to be part of the organization, but I'm hired to get the work done with a specific project. Other people are making the decisions. So that is very important to note, because decision-making authority with consultants, in specifically, and maybe more likely the project managers, is not it's not as the way the PMI sees it. So the PMI certainly see that the project manager is the person that literally goes with the sponsor or with the steering committee, and they have a big say in the decisions. While in my case, it's not the case. Not just for the consultant role of the question, right? Now, what decisions the client makes, the hiring organization that I work for, it's up to them. They're responsible, they have the titles, they have all of that, right? Now, it is very important for a consultant to be able to make sure that the vehicle, the governance vehicle, is in place, so those decisions are being made. Okay, and I'm probably Dharam, you will agree with me that one of the key success factors for a governance is to have it as early as possible, because many reasons and all of that, but the main reason is that if you miss to do that at the beginning of the project, you're making your life very hard and the life of everybody that is part of the project as well. Governance is one of those things that is very difficult to fix if it's not done in the beginning. Now, that being said, just to make sure that the question is being answered and all of that, right? The project managers and the program managers, they have key into recommending decisions, they're key into following the decision-making process, and they're key in essentially implementing the decisions, whatever these decisions are, right? Now, my biggest challenge, because that is the question, what are the challenges that they face? Well, Dharam will tell you that there are so many organizations. There's so many people in these organizations, right? Some people are experts in project management, other people are experts in technology, third people were more like with an HR background and that kind of stuff. And I'm working with people that are not necessarily experts in project management, right? Now, I do believe that PMI have provided a golden standard of how to drive a project, right? Probably you would agree with me as well. If you're on that call, I would assume that at least you have taken some of their materials and some of their trainings and all that, right? But the biggest challenge is that even though it's more or less obvious for a senior project manager what they need to do in each case, your clients are not necessarily on the same page. They might have their own ways. They might want zero governance. They might want to have things that are open, like not tied up. If that is the decision to go forward, I can tell you that that becomes a bigger challenge as the project proceeds. So that's my answer.
Great, thank you for sharing. So good. I know I've worked as a contractor consultant back in Australia and worked for many companies. I think I've worked probably 10-12 years as a consultant, and it is a very actually in Australia the rates are much different than much more than the salary people. And one is that see you are expert in the area and you get to come and contribute to their project program, and you have to jump in and start delivering. That's the expectation. You are a consultant, you know everything, and when you come join and you have to kind of start inputting to their whatever they're looking for. Then so decision making is different actually, as you correctly mentioned. You are an outsider. You are if you're working for government organization, and you don't make the decision, you recommend the decision, you provide the support and the recommendation around the particular decision, and you're requesting them, hey, these are the 3 options for this, and these are the pros and cons. You do that. That's something you have to do, and then they make the decision based on your recommendation. Okay, yeah, the option number 1 looking great, but option number 2 is better because long term and give us more value at a later stage.
Yeah, or they can take a totally different decision or decide not to make a decision. I mean, and it has implications. Our job as a project team and the project manager and that kind of stuff is to inform them, to give the different options, to do an impact assessment. But at the end of the day, I can tell you, I have walked into some of the rooms with some C-level officials. I have no idea what decision they will take. Just
and that's what we have to also appreciate. Look, when we are working in multiple companies, we get a lot of experiences as a consultant, and we have to appreciate that they are not at the same level. You need to spend more time to explain, because you have experience. You are SME, they are not. So you need to what you have in the biggest thing in a communication is when you talk, other person and you are at the same level. If you're not at the same level, you are at a high level, other person low, communication cannot work. And if you are low and they are high, cannot work. You need to do whatever required, icebreaker or knowledge sharing, to bring the other person at the same level, come down a little bit, then talk. That's where you
absolutely. And I wanted to say that this is sometimes it is very challenging, sometimes it's very frustrating, and but the thing is that we need to, we fail, we stand up on our feet. We fail, we stand up. Like, you shouldn't give up. You shouldn't be frustrated. You should always be positive. You should always explain, and sometimes you have to explain several times, and sometimes it takes time for that seed to grow into a plant, and but we as consultants, I would say we are only trying to provide the best so our project at the end of the day is successful, right? If there are some other agendas, if there's some other politics involved and all of that, we need to be cautious of all of that, right? So one of the best advice that I was given some time ago from a more senior person than me was, you have one mouth and 2 ears, which means you have to listen twice as much as you talk. And
Exactly.
I'm saying it as a joke, but to be honest with you, like in many cases, it's your job is to understand what is needed from you, and sometimes the mouth is only used to say yes, it's going to be done the way you want it, and that's it. We move on.
Yeah, and you rightly said, of course, and whether it's consulting or any job or anything, whenever we're talking, listen and attentively, and then speak, which is relevant, not just for the sake of speaking. We are speaking. No, is it making sense? Will help him or her? And yeah, so that's what it is. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. My next question to you. As stakeholders in our respective industries often complain that they are not involved in the decision-making process, it is crucial for us to understand how good governance could be established. Could you share your thoughts and experiences on this matter?
Absolutely. So, Dharam, I wasn't fully prepared. I'll send you a quick diagram after the call that it can be used and all of that. But essentially, I touched on that answering the first question. Mm-hmm. If you do not establish the governance at the beginning, the thing with the governance is that you only see the symptoms after that. You see people that are like decisions taking extensive times to be made. You see people leaving for frustrations. You see people fighting for the roles because they understand that they have a different role and different decision, or that wasn't captured correctly and all that, right? So what I would say is establish the governance before you do anything else for your projects and programs, because that is, and whatever it is, document it, okay? Because that should be communicated, that should be well understood, and it's almost like it's a whole circle, okay? So I'll just quickly tell you what I do. Again, everybody have their own experiences and all that, but first I start with almost like with the organizational chart, okay? Understanding which are the departments that are going to be mostly impacted by my project, by the changes we're introducing and all that. So I usually do green, yellow, red, and red are the most impacted, yellow are sort of impacted, and green are they're not impacted at all, right? So from that point, when we talk about establishing STIRCO, right, the steering committee, right, that is the second step, right? Based on that impact assessment of the organization and how your project is going to impact it, my second step is essentially is like make sure that all clients support product owners, client representatives, people that are mostly impacted. They have a seat, usually at the director level, in the steering committee, right? So there is you need to ensure that the steering committee is well represented and you're not making decisions on behalf of. Now, some members might change, but what I wanted to say is that changing steering committee members is in flight, is like changing the engines of an airplane that is flying already, because other people will come in, they might not necessarily disagree with what the previous person, committed to or agreed to, and it becomes messy. Ideally, the steering committee should be fairly solid. Now we understand that changes happen and all that, right? But there should be some sort of acceptance between the old and the new steering committee members, right? Now, then after you have the steering committee and that's being agreed, create some basic procedures, some escalations. What happened if somebody is not happy? What happened if somebody have concerns? What happened if we're going to have like these are like almost like FAQ type of procedures, right? So first level, we go and talk with Dharam. Second level, we go talk with Dan. Third level, whatever it is, there, write it down, right? If you work with vendors, usually there is like a specific procedure specifically for vendors, because we need to be all aligned before we go and talk with the vendor, right? And then we follow other procedures. Now, all of that needs to be documented, approved, and communicated. Now, usually what I just described, those three items, which are who is mostly impacted, who are going to be representatives, what is going to be the steerco, and what are the procedures, that is the project procedures. I mean, that is probably 40–50% of your kickoff deck, okay? So this is what we all do, and it has to be followed and all that, right? And then the last step is essentially update, maintain, run your steering committee meetings, meet with your team, use your 2 years, 1 mouth approach, and adapt and adjust as required, right? So essentially, it is almost like a cycle. It's like a governance cycle, but in order to, you have to listen to people, right? And usually some people, I've seen it with myself. Somebody will come to me, they'll say something, I might not pay attention 100%, right? They'll go to their director. Before you know it, if I have addressed it the first time, it wouldn't have become a big thing, right? But now it goes to the manager, right? It might go through my manager, right? It will go down to me, like maybe I didn't capture it correctly, whatever. It will go a level up. So if those concerns are not addressed, it always becomes bad, you know? And in all honesty, the person that came to me and spoke the first place probably had like the best of intentions. He said, hey, invite Dharam's department. They will be heavily impacted by your project. For whatever reason, it was a missed, add them in. And if I come with like, oh, Dharam is too busy, I can never get a hold of Dharam or whatever it is there, that's not the right approach. That's not the right response. The right response is, yeah, Dharam, you need to be here. And you have I think that part of your slides, Dharam, you have mentioned that in your studyings that, you know, once you go and maybe you can explain the story, but if you remember that story where there was a super busy guy, right? And you were trying to get a hold of him and they'll never respond to you, right? Do you remember that story that you had, like, from your experience?
Yeah, look, you know, there are situations that I know if somebody is very busy and people are busy, it's not they are busy, but yeah, you need to give them a bigger picture. Sometimes, okay, maybe it's best to don't just rely on emails or on, you know, or messages, and try to reach out, get some time with their senior managers, try to find their time and best time, and then explain the bigger picture. Because sometimes people are too narrow, they're thinking only about me, my department, my beneficiaries. But what about, and when you explain the bigger picture, this is important for the whole organization, this is why we should be doing or getting your commitment into this, then when they see the bigger picture, their impact, then they start, oh yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'm for that, and they contribute to that. Yeah. So look, you know, this is, you know, we need to make sure, as you correctly mentioned, understand the roles and responsibilities, and right people should be invited, right people should be involved in the decision making. Whether they, just because political sake, okay, I'm the senior manager, I should be involved. No, there's no contribution required from you. You know, you need to be upfront, like these are the things I'm looking for. If this is something your area, definitely I like to invite you.
Yeah.
So,
and by the way, that's what I wanted to say. When you look at the project management theory and program management theory, it's exactly the same. You look at it and it's like split: stakeholder management, then it's governance, then it's this, then it's procurement, then it's like all kinds of stuff, right? But the fact is that all of that in real life is meshed together, and it's constant interactions between those domains. So PMI had no other choice. They had to make it in a segregated way, so they explain and they go almost like a deep dive, right? But at some point, all of those, it's like, imagine like you have a glass full with several different liquids that are kind of like mixing and interacting at all times, right? So what I have used is a very simplistic approach for governance. It is establish it right the first time and then adjust it as required, right? Again, like you can write for governance, like there are entire books written for just for governance on its own, right? All that is important. All make sure it's like a phone book, you know. But out of that phone book, you need like 5 numbers, you know. At least to get the basics right at the beginning. That's my opinion, of course.
Yeah, no, definitely. Good, thanks, and good thought. Thank you. All right, my next question for you, Dan, in the realm of managing the complexity of large-scale transformation project in IT, what pivotal role does effective governance play? And yeah, I'd like to know more from your insight.
Yeah, I can tell you that the larger is the project, the more critical it is for organization, the more complex and more people are impacted by the project, right? So essentially, the scalability all of a sudden become like, okay, one project which is like changing some, a component in the organization, many people might not even know about it, right? If it's on the list of the CEO of the top 3 projects and that kind of stuff, then all of a sudden, there needs to be a higher structure. You almost need different levels within your project or your program, so they deal with senior executives, and that's why we have a sponsor. Like sometimes the sponsor is pivotal on how successful your project is. Again, like a colleague of mine have one of his most successful projects actually was the one that they literally hired one of the former CFOs. So the CFO, the old CFO retired. They hired him back, right? And they said, this is one of the most important projects for us. Like, you will be the sponsor. And they used him to leverage all his connections, all his personality and all of that, and to be the face of the project, right? So that is one thing that, Dharam and I both work at HP back in the days and all that, right? And Dharam knows, like, the contracts sometimes are written that if you don't deliver on time, there are penalties. And sometimes actually we had given more money to the client that we have taken from them in terms of fees and all kinds of stuff. You can imagine what kind of a disaster is that. Not only we're paying for like huge teams, but also we are paying insane penalties because we failed to meet the key deliverable milestones and all of that, right? So for me, that one of the most important things is, again, what you can do to set up the governance.
Yeah.
Echo. But set up the governance, right? What the organization can do, put a committed and well-connected sponsor at the top that will, his role there is not to do the work. We are still doing the work, don't get me wrong. His role is to know on which door he needs to knock in order for us to have a green light when we come to the traffic light.
Yeah, good, thank you. So yeah, so as you mentioned, larger the program, larger the project, the more complex, you need to have better governance and roles and responsibility are defined. Everybody understand. Yeah, so yeah. You need to involve right people, right time. Yeah, so basically,
it's not uncommon to have hundreds, if not thousands, of stakeholders that are like within the organization, and then all the clients of the company. You might be affecting the way the company makes money, and with that comes visibility. With that comes some serious decisions that have to be made and some risks that have to be taken. And what I see is that everybody is different, of course, but there have been companies that have gone down, or like projects that have been like written in the news, and yeah. Nobody wants to hear bad, like what a disaster your project was,
Exactly. Yeah. So thank you for sharing your experience and knowledge. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, so just to continue on this discussion, like especially more complex you have, good to have your stakeholder register, identify their impact on your program, and they are getting impact on you're impacting them, and their level of influence, their importance of the program. More granular you can get, better information you have about when you deal or talk to them, you will be more prepared. And now again, program is all about, project is all about how you engage with the stakeholder. I have done recently one podcast with Justin, just 3-4 days ago, actually last week. This was about, hey, it's not my fault. When the program failed, what happened? Finger pointing started happening. And one of the important discussion point was that in that discussion as well, the stakeholder engagement. If you don't keep them informed, they're not involved in decision making, there can be a lot of disasters. But if you build a relationship with them, you can have an extremely successful programs. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Our next question is, what role does leadership play in establishing and maintaining good governance practice in project program management?
Yeah, so leadership, like we as project managers and program managers, we are all leaders as well, right? We are all organizational leaders, regardless if we're consultants or full-time employees. We are part of the leadership team, right? At the same time, leadership can be very reluctant or resistant, right? That is a challenge, and that introduces a challenge to maintaining good practices and in the governance itself, right? So it really, we are responsible and accountable to put good governance in place for our projects, get it approved, get it communicated, and maintain it, right? That is, for me, it is a critical success factor, right? Now, the organization and at every level as we go up, they have their own responsibilities, their own leadership responsibilities as well. So depending on, I have, like, for example, one of my clients, they have brought me back because, the project that we did was very successful and delivered benefits within 6 months. It's a cloud implementation, right? We started small. We involved all different groups and all that, right? And they brought me back in that very complex educational institution, right? And they have asked me, "Oh, can you develop practices and that we can potentially adopt and use for some of our projects, right?" So you don't think that you're too low on the food chain or the organizational chart or whatever to make a difference. You can always make a difference, right? Now, sometimes you just don't have the cards that are like strong enough to pull some of the things the way that you wanted to pull it, right? But you need to have good arguments. PMI have some really good materials. Also, I have already used some material for Dharam's book as justifications, right, of why governance and some other components in the projects need to be set up in a certain way, or give examples and all that, right? So what Dharam mentioned just 10 minutes ago is extremely important. You have to understand that sometimes the people that you're communicating with, they have no formal project management education, certification, and all that. And part of your role is to explain it into an easily understandable, simple way. What are the implications of those decisions, to guide them, to give them the knowledge, and even like you might laugh at me, but I have a library of good project management books, and sometimes I would recommend to team members and even some managers and sponsors, and sometimes I even bought them books, and I said, please read that book. It has, like, we are not the first one to walk that path. Other people have, and we can learn from their experiences rather than like making the same mistakes and trying to discover the wheel or the hot water or whatever analogy you use in your country, the PM as an educator, the project as a learning experience, as a change. We need to be cautious of that. And as I said, like nobody, like if you get frustrated and all of that, that makes it even more difficult, because nobody wants to listen to people that are going outside of the professional tone, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's very important, as especially as a consultant and your role as the project program manager. I mean, consultant, no consultant, doesn't matter. And you, as a program manager, project manager, you play a very important role establishing the governance for your own project program. And whatever you're doing, you need to get buy-in from the leadership. Yes, they may not agree, or they have their own way of doing the governance. But if you can explain them the importance of the governance practices which you're suggesting, let them have their, rather than actually you should recommend, this is what I believe we can get better results by doing this way, this governance structure. This is the escalation path, this is the thresholds defined and all those things, and explain them, get them buy-in, and let them feel that they own this decision. The important thing in the discussion when you're having with your seniors and managers, it may be your idea, your decision, you want this decision, but let them feel that they are the one taking the decision. They feel important about it.
Yeah.
Okay? You did all the analysis, you did all the justification analysis, recommendation. You put recommendation 2 or 3 options, and then let them know that I think option number 1 is best. Please see, and if you're okay, give your decision.
Absolutely. And I have a funny example in here. For one of my clients, I attempted, God is my witness, I attempted to establish governance at the beginning. I attempted to put the procedures in, like all the things that I do, right? They weren't ready for that. They didn't want it. Okay, so they said, no, we don't need it, like whatever reasons are there. Like 3 months after, oh, it's becoming too hard. What happened with your procedures done? Well, there. They're like, oh, okay, well, here they are. Oh, they looked at them again. Oh, it's too hard. Another 6 months passed. Total mess, total disaster. They already see the symptoms of having bad governance and all kinds of, right? It's like, okay, get it done. Now, the real problem is that 9 months have passed, okay? And all these things, like all these bad practices, all these shortcuts, all these, I'll pick up the phone, I'll call that person directly, and that kind of stuff is already in place, right? So for me, it is all like for that particular client, it was almost like a project within the project to get that sorted out. And but what I'm trying to say is that don't throw the towel too easy or too early, because sometimes it just takes time. And maybe they'll learn from that and don't repeat those mistakes in the next project, or maybe they'll keep on repeating them, and you should be in peace with that. So what I'm trying to say is that I was actually surprised how I had to resend the same material, the same email, like 3 times before they actually got some attention. They say, yeah, now we see. Because the thing with governance is that if you put it right, you would have solved problems before these problems appear, right? That is why it's so important to set the ground right the first time, right? If you don't do that, you only live with the consequences after,
Yeah. Yep, definitely. Give them enough information, let them feel that they are the one making decision, and let them own the decision. And when they own the decision, they take the they help you to make it possible as well.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, my next question is, what are the biggest risks to effective governance, and why does it fail so often?
So I can answer with one word: people.
Yeah.
People are the biggest risks, not only to governance, to your project, to the software that you're implementing or whatever you're implementing. Like that's like people are people, and we as humans, we don't always behave rationally, or so that is what I like my take on it. biggest risks are certain behaviors, both positive, negative, short-term, long-term, like it can be all over the spectrum, right?
Yeah. Look, this is definitely people or stakeholders. If you don't, work with them effectively, they do not appreciate the work you're doing, then there's a big problem. And they do not appreciate the governance structure. They may see this is just a rule put by somebody for us to govern. Governance can be seen, good governance when everything happening and all structure defined, or it can be seen, hey, somebody trying to govern us, somebody's trying to put their own will or trying to get the things done from us. So the biggest thing is, okay, first of all, for another big picture, why the good governance, the structure is important. And sometimes, as you said, 3 times you tried, and then finally they agree to listen to you. And when they agree, okay, now they own it, because now they cannot go back. So show the big picture, what is happening, how is the, what are the pain points, and by having this governance structure will help to eliminate those pain points and get us the results we're looking for. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
So my next question for you is, this is coming from an audience, not now, but at the time of registration. What are the best leadership qualities required in today's competitive environment?
Leadership qualities can be assigned to any person, right? Any person can be a leader regardless of the role, right? But for me, if we say that what are the best leadership qualities required for a successful project and program implementation.
Yeah.
And when we speak about leadership, we're talking about more on the governance perspective, where we're talking about like sponsors, steering committee and all that. I would say the best qualities that I have seen that have resulted in successful implementations, in my experience, were like, first, trust people and listen to your people, right? Listen to your project team, listen to your project managers, listen to your stakeholders. Understanding what they actually need, what their concerns are, and be able to address all of these, and not just listen, but honestly understand and provide solutions, right? And support. That is what these leadership, servant leadership qualities I have seen of being extremely successful, right? Because at the end of the day, we need to establish common information, and then we need, together with each of their own little pieces and that kind of stuff, they need to work as one machine at the end of the day, right? So we need to have some sort of a holistic view. Now, I think that for a leader, especially for a senior leader with those transformational big projects and that kind of stuff, you might have all the leadership qualities and that kind of stuff, right? But if you're not well connected, and if you don't have that recognition from the upper layers, that might turn out to be a big risk for the success of any initiative. You might be saying the right things, you might be doing the right things, your team might be amazing. If for whatever reason, that might be even beyond you, those are not accepted at the ultimate decision makers, right? And that, for me, everything goes down,
Yeah, and good, thank you. From my point of view, especially in the competitive environment we're working in, everything is changing so fast, so much complexity around us. And as a leader, running a company as well, and talking to so many people. So from my point of view, I think the leader is somebody who's visionary, and who should be able to foresee what is coming, and not only immediate, 3 years down the track, 5 years down the track, because if you're just looking immediate needs, you're looking tactical way. But if you're looking 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, can your company survive, and how long can we survive, and this and that. So that's where it is. I mean, I watched this movie, and you probably have watched that, Blackberry. Very interesting movie, and interesting just because they're talking the story of how this Blackberry in those days was so popular, became the symbol of status symbol for everyone, and it gone rise, very popular, everybody were looking for that. But a day come, because of Apple with the big vision and all kind of thing, they suddenly wiped out, literally. Yeah. The share price gone down to the bottom, and they literally gone away. So, and this is because they are not paying attention to what is coming. And I see it in a movie, the guys was the CEO, and they were in the Apple when the Apple launched the product. They did not pay attention to what Apple is trying to say. We are going to change the world the way it is. So as a leader, you need to be you need to have foresight. What is coming? What other competitors are doing? And other quality I can think of, agility, being agile. Things are okay. We're going this side. No, it's not working. Let's go this side. Let's move this side. Of course, you do all the due diligence, and you think about many pros and cons. But you need to be proactive. You cannot just stay where it is.
Yeah, and it's absolutely right. And I'm too big; it cannot happen to me. Listen, the dinosaurs were wiped with what? With 15 degrees change in temperature. The bigger you are, actually, you are more vulnerable. There. Everybody is like looking at you, trying to get a bite of your market, trying to eat your food, trying to become bigger than you. Unless you're like in some sort of like monopoly type of a situation, right, where you have a guaranteed market and nobody's touching it and all that, you always are, there are always risks. And if you ignore them, sure, you can ignore them, but it will cost you. Yeah, I'm sure that there were some people that in different organizations, and I work with that type of people all the time, they say, hold on a second, look at what is happening, raising flags. Can we do something else? Can we go and, like, whatever options are out there, right? But sometimes I just see that the senior leadership, they are not they're not brave enough. I'm sorry to say it, but like you have to be fearless to be a leader, And exactly. If you're looking for the easiest, lowest risk solution and that kind of stuff, I'm telling you, like, that's not going to last. And it doesn't matter, like, people bankrupt, like companies bankrupt all the time. It's not only BlackBerry. I mean, like, they're like, I don't know, on a world scale, there's probably thousands every day.
Yeah. Anyway, so one important point to touch just now, and the quality of a good leader, is a risk, identifying the potential risk about to come, and you're prepared for that. So that BlackBerry example can be one. Okay, what if now currently we are the world leader, we have the biggest share. What if another company come with a new technology or new advancement? Can we still survive?
Yeah.
And so look, there are many other things we can keep talking.
Absolutely, and that's why I say people. Like people will make you win, people will make you fail. And people are people. So I've seen like people saying like, hey, listen, I'm retiring after this project. It's like, okay, well, that tells you a lot, right? I mean, like some people want that, like, you can look from both sides. I had one of the best leaders I worked for, and he was like, I want to be remembered with that project successfully, and the generations after us, they need to know that we did that work, right? Others are like, I don't care.
No, they have to commit themselves, and they should feel. I mean, think about when you're running your own project, your own money involved, you do a lot of due diligence. You try to see everything. But when it comes to the company, and no, it's okay. I mean, they do. I'm not going to deny. Like, there are really good leaders. They're really committed CEOs, director. They are really but if you don't treat the money as you treat your own money, then you're making mistake. So
Yeah.
you have to see that this project is just like your project, your baby. You have to make it successful. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Dan, it was wonderful talking with you. It was so much to learn from your experience, governance, and lot of things we have talked about. Thank you for once again thank you for taking time out and coming as discussing, helping me to grow my knowledge pool. Hopefully people are gaining more out of this discussion. More and more discussion means I'm really excited to have people like you, and you do whatever you're doing, but also sharing with other people.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that, and I thank all the people joining today, and some of you are seeing repeatedly coming, and that shows that you're getting some value out of these sessions. Please come again, and not for just PDU, for learning, and more you're going to learn, you're going to grow, and one day, who knows, you will be sitting in front of me just like that, talking and sharing your knowledge.
Always a pleasure, and thanks Dharam, and thanks everybody for taking the time, and good luck to you all.
And one thing I've not mentioned, if you do decide to join my program this month or next month, I have a special code for you. So please let me know, and that can save $100 for some of the programs. So please reach out to me as early as possible, and let me help you to get your PgMP, PfMP, and you help me to get my 1,000 PgMPs and 500 PfMPs. I'm looking for more PgMP, PfMP. That's why. So thank you once again, Dan, and thank you all. And really happy, really excited to have this session with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.